People who had abstinence-only sex education, what was the most outrageous or untrue thing you were told? If a man ejaculates on or near your body, the sperm will swim around and find your vagina and you will get pregnant. Breaking news: sperm more accurate and lethal than ballistic missiles. Having sex with one person is like having sex with 100 people. Having sex with 0 people is like having sex with 99 people, later, virgins. So that orgy I went to is fine. No, because that's the equivalent of having sex with 1,000 people. My girlfriend's sex ed program in middle school included a wedding dress that they splattered with red paint. What the hell happened here? Hugging a boy will get you pregnant. Edit. Oh no, someone gave me the hugging award. Guess I'm pregnant. My dad pointed to a teenage couple hugging when I was a kid and told me that's how you get pregnant. Months later at the fair, my aunt put my 5-year-old cousin on the back of my horse and told him to wrap his arms around my waist to hold on. My heart sank. Later that day I shamefully told my dad that my 5-year-old cousin got me pregnant. How did he explain himself hugging you? Dad never hugged her. If a gay man and a lesbian woman have a baby, the baby will be trans. So that's what they mean by the gay agenda. Wait a minute, what? Yeah, I was taught that in sex ed. I guess they thought it worked out like PEMDAS. So I'm Irish and Catholic. Growing up in Dublin, we had church-sanctioned sex education. Some of the highlights: all penises are the same size when erect. We were 14 and this was hilarious to us. Being gay is just a phase. No method of birth control is reliable, including oral sex and body rubbing. Lamau, why on earth would the thing about dick size be in church-sanctioned sex ed? Was told the same thing in sex ed in Utah. We all laughed. Long-ass phase. If you are willing to make out with someone, you'll end up having sex with them because you pass the point of no return on the mountain climb to sex. This is somehow the weirdest to me. Yeah, we all had to mark our line of what behaviors we wouldn't go past with a big line marking the point of no return, so needless to say no one put theirs past that line. The instructor gave all the boys in the class chewing gum and let them chew on it for a few minutes. Then she asked them if any of them wanted to share. Of course none did. Then she asked if they didn't want to share gum, why would they want to share sex partners? This was in a co-ed class, so all the girls in the class got to see too. That wouldn't have worked on the guys I went to school with. They would have switched gum immediately just to be contrarian. Yep, when I was in middle school, late 80s, we literally would have made a game of spitting the gum into each other's mouths to be contrary. The horrible memories from wrestling. Coach, we're chewing the same gum at the same time. What do you call this? Mutual mastication? Who wouldn't? I would switch gum with the homies any day of the week. Now spit out the gym and leave it on your desk. Would you like to chew that gum again tomorrow? Such a flawed analogy, even within the ideology. You want to marry the gum? Have little gummy babies? Well? Instructions unclear. Was I supposed to F the gum? No, you're supposed to chew it after someone else F's it. Pay attention, dude. That the actual vagina opening is as small as the tip of a pencil. I also never knew women didn't pee from their vaginas until I was 16. I'm 19 now and learned more from crap posts on the internet than I ever had in school. Edit. The amount of people who seem to not know the latter is astonishing. Women have urethras and that's where they pee from. No, you won't accidentally do it with the urethra. My friend, who is female, didn't know that you don't pee from your vagina until she was 16. She said something about having to pee but not having an extra tampon, so she couldn't take hers out, and her cousin was like, you don't have to take your tampon out to pee, it's a different hole. Edit. My husband is now mad because I have more karma than him, haha. I had this exact conversation with my coworker last year. She's 35 now. I was discussing cups and she was really perplexed how I wore it for 12 hours if I was peeing all day. Did I take it out each time? Oh. No, honey. Your urethra is above your vagina opening. Blank stare my what? It was a very educational talk for her. Now she just won't wear tampons because if the string gets wet she's grossed out. I told her to tuck it up out of the way between her lips. She just blank stared again, so I gave up on that conversation entirely. What gets me is recommending cups to people and having them be like, but then you have to stick your fingers up there and ew. And I'm just sitting there like, you've had a kid and you've never stuck your fingers up your own you know what, forget it. The used pair of shoes analogy. Maybe if some people would just wash their damn feet and wear socks the shoes wouldn't get dirty. If you only wear the same pair of shoes for 40 years they're going to get pretty gross and worn out. Better to have lots and lots of shoes. I was given a diagram of the female anatomy in which the clitoris had been erased, as in someone went into MS Paint and whited it out on a line drawing of the exterior of the vulva. The urethra, vagina, labia, anus were labeled, and then at the top of the labia, it was whited out. How many girls would walk away from that convinced something was wrong with them? It's absolutely disgusting the way we hide this kind of knowledge behind locks and keys. Pleasure badly. You only allowed to be pleasured by the word of the Lord. Honestly, why are they so hell-bent on making sure women don't enjoy sex even after they're married? Like, this goes beyond encouraging abstinence, this is something else. Because some idiot probably couldn't figure out how to perform foreplay whatsoever and decided that if he can't pleasure his wife, no one can. I was convinced that saliva was involved in the baby-making process. Not that you'd kiss someone and then boom pregnant, but that someone's saliva over time would make their baby look like you. The more saliva, the stronger the resemblance. Long story short, I spit in my cousin's drinks for a solid 2 months because I wanted her baby, she was pregnant at the time, to look like me, who was 8. Edit, this was about 25 years ago, and also I'm a woman. That's how absolutely terrible my sex education was. Opposite story, I went to a Catholic high school. My health teacher was a progressive. So she closed the door and said, listen, okay, sure, masturbation is a sin or whatever, but it's actually fine. You got to, clean out the pipes once in a while. Now if your friends ask you to go to the movies and your answer is sorry, got to stay home and jerk off, probably step it back a bit. Had a sister teach sex ed in a Catholic elementary school. She flat out gave correct names, body parts and their functions. In 4th grade, she also explained exactly how to use a tampon. Sounds like she was pissed about the crappy sex ed she received. Too many teen parents. Better a teen know the truth and maybe go at it than uneducated idiots procreate. That nun clearly had to deal with crap. I love the idea of the rational one locking everyone in the room to sneak some education in before the ideologues turn up. In a school. This is probably pretty tame, but sophomore year our teacher told us using multiple condoms at a time increases its effectiveness. I then asked my mom the same thing, and her whole job is to teach safe sex to youth. Spoiler alert, do not layer condoms. It sounds good in practice, but you're actually weakening the condoms and wasting them. Utah's sex ed policy was / is crap. This woman once compared a teenage girl who's had premarital sex as chewed up bubble gum. She then switched the comparison to a pair of worn out shoes. Crap you not. Ours was a piece of tape. And they stuck it to a few guys and pulled it off and then said, now who's going to want this tape now? Not me. But to be fair, I wouldn't have sex with a brand new piece of tape either. We had to do a whole activity in 7th grade where everyone was given a piece of tape. The tape represented us being virgins who were pure and not dirty. Then we had to stick it to another person's tape to represent having sex with them, and be lectured after on how we were all dirty and lost our purity. Then we had to repeat the process several times and watch the tape get grosser and grosser, and each time be told that when you have sex with different people you become grosser and grosser. I went to a public school in the Bible Belt. It was awful. Do people in the Bible Belt actually read the Bible though? The core of Christianity is that our sins are forgiven, including sex. Telling people that sex before marriage permanently taints them directly contradicts Jesus' crucifixion. Condoms don't always work, so it's better to not use them. If you ejaculate on a girl, yes, she will get pregnant. Regardless of if you had sex or not. Boys get so horny sometimes they can't control themselves. So girls, it's up to you to remove temptation for the boys. Birth control pills disrupt a girl's hormones so badly she will become barren. That every time I, a girl, had sex, I was giving away a part of my soul. So each sex partner whittled away bits of my soul. If I had sex before marriage, my God-given husband would only get a tiny scrap instead of a full half, and thus wouldn't be able to love me as much as he would if I'd waited. Honestly, it's pretty confusing. This was taught in my Christian private school. Giving half your soul to a person sounds very dangerous. Much safer to split it between multiple, vessels. Till premarital sex is equivalent to a horcrux, according to Christianity. So if I were to have a bunch of sex, could I live forever? Edit, Lamau. I love all the serious replies, but I was just being sarcastic. Technically, yes. Side effects may include pale skin, baldness, loss of nose, and or separation of soul from body. Consult your dark arts professor for more information. Well, how do you think they make horcruxes? Harry is a horcrux. Oh no. You thinking about Harry? I'm thinking how the F Voldemort effed a diary. Just realized that he also effed a snake. Of all the things in this context he could have effed, the snake makes the most sense. The teacher said that you can only really love one sexual partner, and that's why it's so important that your spouse be your first and only partner. One of my classmates raised her hand and said, "My mom died when I was a baby and my dad's been married to my stepmom for 10 years. Does that mean he only loves one of them?" The teacher just looked uncomfortable and moved on to how premarital sex causes depression. Oh good God, poor kid. Those teachings are effed. My dad killed himself when I was in 4th grade. I went to Catholic school. The nuns still thought it would be appropriate to dedicate an entire class period to talk about how taking your own life was a sin and describe all the horrible things that happen in hell against those who commit this mortal sin. I was freaking 9. After class, I was singled out from my classmates and told to step outside. The nun then proceeded to tell me that I looked distressed and that if I needed to talk, she was there. She effing knew. She was at the effing funeral. I can't understand how you could be so unbelievably cruel to a small child who is grieving. I'm so sorry this happened to you. It breaks my heart. 3 years ago, we lost my 17-year-old niece to suicide. My family is extremely Catholic, so I panicked right before the funeral as I had my 7-year-old with me and was worried there may be some similar themes. There thankfully were not. The priest teared up talking about how special she was and all of her accomplishments and how much she was loved and all of the things she did to help others. Then he said, but sometimes someone is hurt on the inside so bad that all the love and support and good things are not enough to heal them, and sometimes they just need to go be with the Lord to feel better again. I have never cried so hard in my life. I'm a lifelong atheist, but he got the first part right. Her mother took her life 5 years before my niece, and he was 150% right. She was just too hurt inside, and all the love and support was just not enough to fix her hurt. Edit, I am have some tough times right now. I saw what the original poster said and was horrified that anyone would do that to a child. I shared what happened when I had an actual positive experience and then made a few follow-up remarks. I went to sleep early because depression is awesome, and woke up to see this blew up. I honestly hope this will help someone someday, but I'm also shocked that so many people liked this comment and had so much to say. TLDR, thank for listening. Be nice to yourself and others. Everyone deserves to have love and be heard. There was a suicide at my kid's high school last week. Reading this is tough. I got told that too. My mom said that orgasms released bonding chemicals in a woman's brain, so you will never be able to connect to a different person the way you will be bonded to your first sexual partner because the bonding chemicals altered your brain. Once the chemicals changed your brain, that was that, no second chances. Since I'd figured out masturbation long before that little chat, I spent years wondering if I would only ever be able to connect with myself, since there was never anyone for all those bonding hormones to connect me with. I was in college before I was brave enough to Google that crap myself. In her defense, she had basically no sex ed and is pretty shy/embarrassed about sexual stuff, so I'm sure she was just repeating what she'd been told. But yeah, abstinence only sex ed is all that any kid needs. Girls and boys had to go to different rooms during sex. The girls were told, abstinence is the best option because sex is painful. The boys weren't told that. I understand that sex can be painful for some people, but pretending sex isn't a source of pleasure at all for women is flat out wrong and depressing. And it normalizes painful sex for women. Sex shouldn't be painful all the time. Edit. This got a lot of traction. I'd like to clarify what I meant about all the time was that if it's all the time then it's likely time to see a doctor. Occasionally sex can hurt, you may be close to your period, your partner may have hit your cervix, and maybe you pulled a muscle. By no means am I saying you should continue intercourse if it hurts, but it may not warrant medical care in those situations. I'd also like to add this very informative article regarding hymens and the fact that they do not break. My church-based sex ed claimed that foreplay involved things like reciting poetry to one another or playing the violin together. I guess their plan was for us to be so bad at foreplay we'd never have sex. You know what? Reading a heartfelt poem to each other and reciting a passionate violin duet before absolutely dicking down sounds like a genuinely great time. I'm just picturing flirty renditions of The Devil Went Down to Georgia. Edit. Yes, The Devil Went Down on Georgia. Har to har to har. Thanks, all 117 people who made that joke. Actual quote from my 9th grade health class: if you have sex, chances are you won't get HIV. But, chances are you will. I've read this several times and I don't think I'm reading this right. In nearly 30 years, I still haven't been able to figure it out. If I figure it out in the next 30 years, I'll tell you. We were told that hickeys kill you because they cause your veins to burst. Technically they do cause blood vessels to burst, but it's about as dangerous as a bruise. Because it is actually a bruise, right? Literally just a bruise. We were shown a video where a lady said she could tell if a girl was a virgin just by looking into her eyes. The implication was that premarital sex causes your spirit to die so that you become just a shell with nothing to offer. Edit to add, I'm sure you can guess that she didn't say the same applied for the boys, as if teenage girls are the only ones to blame for anyone having premarital sex. Can confirm, am soulless shambling ruin of a person, did the horizontal bop before sealing marriage before God and the local tax assessor. Instructions unclear, had sex in front of an accountant. Dang. CPAs really are living their best lives. Girls should stop seducing men wearing their tank tops and makes-ups. I can't believe girls wear socks that show their ankles. Calves are already questionable. Ankles are just too much, according to my Catholic high school's dress code. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.